Protect your DNA. BioPQQ can promote formation of new mitochondria. Infowarsstore.com.
Now, coming up later in our show, we have special reports from both Alex Jones and Joe Biggs, who's on the ground in Oregon. So we'll let them tell you all about the situation. But in the meantime, Kurt Nimmo has a great article out. Hammond's targeted because government wants to steal their land. And you can read up more about the Oregon situation. And just briefly, I'll touch on it. As far as the Hammond situation, it's a little different from the Bundy situation, because my understanding of what's going on in Oregon is that the Hammonds have not asked for any type of outside assistance, especially not from any type of armed groups, whether they be open carriers, militias, or whatever else. And also on this whole thing that the guys are storming the center up there and holding people hostage, it's a bunch of bull. They're in an unoccupied building out in the middle of nowhere, which you'll see in Joe Biggs' report. But as far as the Hammond situation, they're not asking for anybody's assistance in this. So when you have a bunch of people who are out there demonstrating with their arms, which, you know, I support the First Amendment, I support the Second Amendment and all that good stuff, but I don't think it's really helping when you're trying to force assistance on a group that's not requesting it. So that's just my 2 cents about that. And with this, people are starting to ask the question, is Obama going to use the situation going on in Oregon to push his gun control agenda? And I do believe that he is going to do just that. And now we see CNN to provide an hour of airtime to Obama's gun control pitch. The announcement was made Sunday, with CNN stating that Obama will attempt to make gun control part of his legacy. Anderson Cooper will host the 8 p.m. special, which detractors will label a propaganda effort, in the wake of reports that Obama is set to announce executive action on gun control legislation within a week. CNN makes it clear that it is providing airtime for Obama to make one final pitch on the issue. Now, once again, I'm sure we can all agree there is a good amount of gun violence in this country, but you also have to realize, you can check the FBI's own numbers, street crime is down from the 1980s. You're safer now in 2016 than you were back in 1986 when I was born. So take that into account as well. And also, as we always point out, you have people, be it Obama, Eric Holder, Dianne Feinstein, any number of people, and mainly it's not really an issue of Feinstein or Holder, but when you have the Obama administration who's pushing so hard for gun control here domestically, meanwhile they're arming Al-Qaeda, they're arming Mexican drug cartels, and they want to lecture you and tell you that you need to give up your gun rights. It's a complete crock of bull, especially when you consider these guys themselves. They have armed security. They go to buildings full of armed security. They're in the White House. They're in the State House. They're in all these places where they have protection for themselves. Meanwhile, they say that it's unreasonable. It's not common sense for you to have more than 5 rounds in your magazine. They're saying it's not common sense for you to be able to go out and buy an AR-15, which is just a complete crock of bull, which we will demonstrate to you in just a few moments when we talk about some of the top stories, gun stories of 2015. But now let's talk about Donald Trump. He's saying pretty soon you won't be able to get any guns. And this is in reaction to some of the statements made by Obama. Republican presidential frontrunner Donald Trump on Monday slammed President Obama's plans for executive action on gun control, saying that pretty soon people won't be able to get guns. And I do agree with this. So I don't agree with everything Donald Trump has to say, especially on the gun issue, because one glaring thing that I don't think enough people are talking about when concerns Trump is his support of the no-fly, no-gun-buy list, which we have extensively documented is a really bad system. As well-intentioned as it may be, when you bar an 8-year-old Boy Scout from flying on an airplane because he has a name similar to that of a suspected terrorist, that means your system has a lot of flaws in it. So I'm not all the way on the Trump campaign. But as far as this, Obama is pressing very hard to get these gun control agendas passed through, even though we've shown numerous signs. I just told you about it just a second ago, the fallacies within his own administration and all the things that are going on with that. Meanwhile, he wants to take your firearms away. And we always hear the things from Obama. He gets up on TV and he says, 9 out of 10 Americans want these measures that I'm proposing, and reasonable this and controlled that. And I'm like, who are these people that these guys are talking to? Because nobody's asking me if I want to ban firearms, if I want universal background checks. Meanwhile, he quotes these numbers all the time. Nobody asked the Texas governor who said, come and take it. I don't think they included him in the polls, or the Texans who are now open carrying because the law just took effect here in the state of Texas. I don't think anybody asked them either. So all these numbers are very cookbook numbers, in my opinion. And it's not just my opinion. Now we have the facts right here. Background checks for gun sales at record high in 2015. And it says the agency on Monday reported that they had performed 23,141,970 checks in the year of 2015. That's a whole lot of background checks, especially for all these people who say these gun show loopholes and all this, and they think that everybody's out there having never gone through a background check. Once again, in the year 2015, you had 23,141,970 background checks performed. And then that doesn't mean that everybody who got the check got the gun. That's just the people who went through the process. So next time it's your friend tells you that, oh, everybody's running around, they haven't done all these background checks. 23,141,970 people had a background check here in the United States of America to purchase firearms. So there you go, people who say there are no such thing as background checks. Now, let's talk about why you need a firearm in the first place, because as well-intentioned as the police may be, they can't be there to protect you all the time. So now we see the 10 most talked about defense gun uses of 2015. This is from guns.com, an excellent site. And one in particular I want to have your attention to. We're not going to talk about all of them for the sake of time, but if you look down at number 9, if you guys got the video, we can go ahead and roll that. This is a store owner who fended off a group of armed robbers. Now you can see he pulls out his AR-15 and show this to your friends who say, why do you need an AR-15? Why do you need more than 5 rounds in your magazine? Well, as you can see, he opens fire with his AR-15, and it's not like a James Bond movie where he shoots the guy, 300 yards away, he falls down and causes an explosion. No, he opens up a few rounds and the guys still live to talk about. So you need to have something that with a little bit of range to reach out there and touch somebody. Now, I'm not a big fan of shooting rifles indoors, but this is the situation. Rifle's probably a lot easier to conceal than a full-length shotgun, so I'm not going to knock the guy for that. And also, he did hit one of the guys, so you can say that as well. And then, people would say, you don't need that type of firearm. A lot of people just said, sit there and wait for the police to come and save you. As you can see, these guys definitely meant serious business. They're willing to ram their car into the front door of his business. He needed a means to protect himself quite immediately. He couldn't wait 2 minutes for a response time. And also, we see more and more sheriffs getting into the mindset saying that if you break into homes or businesses in my county that you're going to get shot. And these are the words of a Polk County sheriff. And now with more on this, we go to Leanne McAdoo, who has a special report, a woman on the street talking about gun rights in America and also open carry here in the state of Texas.
Leanne McAdoo for Infowars.com. I'm here in Austin, Texas. Now we are 4 days into the official passing of open carry. Wanted to see what people's opinion are of now they're going to be actually able to view people's guns in their holster. Are they afraid of that? Are they okay with that? And we also wanted to get people's take on what's happening in Oregon. Do they think this is a good move, or is this going to bolster Obama's push for gun control? Well, we just passed open carry here January 1st.
Oh, great.
So people,
I'm all for it.
Yeah.
I'm all against it.
Really?
Yes.
Yes.
And we're still married. I am for gun regulations. And open carry is weird. I'm not going to go to any business where I see people waltzing in there with their guns. It's just, it just turns me off.
What do you guys think about the open carry that just passed here in Austin?
We're not from here. Sorry.
Does that frighten you to think that people will have guns on their holster, or are you okay with it?
I'm okay with it. As long as they're responsible, I'm fine with it.
Would you be frightened to see people with their guns on their holster?
I don't think so, because it is Texas.
It probably in some places I would, and probably in some places I wouldn't.
So it just depends on the setting.
Yeah.
I think if you're responsible, it can be done well. But if you're not and people aren't paying attention, bad things happen.
I'm a fan.
What's your opinion on it?
Well, I don't think everyone should just be walking around with them, but mainly when it's really hot and you want to carry and it's too hard to wear 8 pounds of clothes when it's 100 degrees out, then it's nice to be able to.
Well, I'm all for Second Amendment. I think people should have the right to do what they wish to do. However, like my wife said, I think that it's better to have it concealed than to be shown. But if somebody wants to have it shown, that's up to them.
But if you're allowed to have a gun, it's kind of odd to not be allowed to carry it. That's how I feel about it.
It lets you know who has the weapon. There's people walking around with them concealed anyways. I think that's scarier.
Would you continue to go to a business that allowed people to bring in their guns?
Yeah, I think I would. I wouldn't like boycott them. If I was in a circumstance where I felt uncomfortable or something, I might leave, but I wouldn't make a big point out of it.
She said she wants more regulations. Well, people that are law-abiding citizens are now having more regulations placed upon them, and criminals will, in fact, skirt the law anyway. So to me, it's ridiculous.
Are you aware of what's going on in Oregon right now?
Yeah, I'm aware, but I haven't read a lot of details about it.
The president is about to come out on Thursday calling for more, gun control regulations. Do you think something like that is going to cause the country to be in support of more gun control, or do you think that they're going to be proud of Americans standing up?
I think whoever is already against and for gun control is just going to sway them more either way. I don't think it's going to change anyone's mind.
I don't think it's going to be bringing people together. The people are going to interpret it how they see it. They're going to either be on the side that thinks, oh man, this is what needs to be done, give an inch, they take a mile, and the other side is, oh, this is so typical.
There's a lot of people that feel like the federal government overreaches what it's there for. That's what they feel like up there, obviously. In a lot of cases, that's what I feel like. I haven't had a situation where I felt compelled to gather some fellow citizens and take over a building. I'm also not a rancher that lost their livelihood because the federal government decided they were going to take some land or stop letting someone use my land or stop letting me use land. So, I get where they're coming from, but I'm going to have to read about it more for sure to decide whether I think they're going totally overboard or maybe they're just having the guts to do something that somebody's got to do.
I think things should be done legally. All right, and do I actually think that it's going to hinder it? No, I think Obama's going to do what Obama wants to do. He's in his lame duck term as president, and he's just going to try to flex whatever muscle he thinks he can do and try to get away with it.
He's going to do the right thing.
And while we're talking about all the things that law and law enforcement has done to promote the agenda of safety here in the United States of America, some police departments and agencies aren't exactly going on the same flight path, so to speak. And now we see that the Chicago airport police are told to run and hide during an active shooter situation. Internal aviation documents obtained by CNN instruct officers not to become part of the response to an attack. If evacuation isn't possible, you should find a place to hide where the active shooter is less likely to find you. They say to blockade yourself in and not let the guy in. But this is what you would tell the general public in my mind. You tell, the single mom with 3 kids, or they say, hey, don't be a hero guy. Just go stand in the corner and let the police handle it. Well, the police aren't exactly handling the situation. They're not telling the police to run and get an AR-15. They're not telling them to run and get the shotgun, run, get the body armor, then go back and engage. They're saying, hey, stay away, let the guy run wild in the airport, and then eventually, hopefully, the SWAT team will come and make everything better. It's not a very reasonable situation when you think the police are supposed to keep you safe. At least they're telling kids in middle school to throw canned goods at an intruder if he breaks into the classroom. At least they're telling the kids in, Alabama, if the guy comes in there and he's trying to kick up some stuff, take a can of creamed corn and bust the guy's head open, and at least you'll have some kind of chance. But they're telling the police not to do that, even though they want the kids to defend themselves. So please defend yourself wherever you are, if at all possible. One person who was unfortunately killed by a shooter or a assailant is a new mayor in Mexico. She had just been inaugurated, and this is right outside of Mexico City, or a Mexican city, I should say. They say they believe it was pretty much a chilling effect going out to the other mayors, telling them that if they don't get down with the cartels, that they could suffer the same fate as this poor lady. So our thoughts and prayers do go out to her. But, this is what happens in places like Mexico. You don't have a high civilian ownership of firearms. A lot of people don't have the means to defend themselves. And speaking of somebody who needed some defense, not saying he should have shot the kids, but teens attack a mailman for delivering Christmas presents late. And for all the ridiculous reasons that you could attack somebody, attacking a mailman for something that really wasn't his fault. He can only deliver the packages that are there in the station, but they decided to attack this poor guy for delivering Christmas packages just a little bit too late. And our final story before we go on to more special reports, Americans named government as top problem facing the U.S. in 2015, and this is a Gallup poll. And they say the concerns about the government outweigh the concerns over the economy, unemployment, immigration, and other issues, according to a survey. So it's not just us who are concerned about the government. And a lot of people say, you're anti-government. I'm not anti-government. I'm anti-government corruption. I'm anti-government brutality. I'm anti-government using my tax dollars to go make another country worse, and then saying, well, you need to use more of your tax dollars to make the country better. You know, when you ask them how much should you give, the only answer is more, more, more. Stay tuned for more Infowars Nightly News coming up right after this.
Shane Steiner's involvement with InfoWarsLife.com truly happened in an organic way. I went to high school with Shane, his brother, knew his parents well, and he was visiting the office once, hadn't been to the office in years, and said, wow, I notice you're making and selling supplements. Do these really work? Because I've tried a lot of supplements as a workout enthusiast, and I really think most of them are hype. And I said, here, take some home, try it. Well, a few weeks later, he came in blown away and said, I want to buy 3 boxes of this stuff to give my friends and family. It's simply amazing. He said, why does it work so well? And I said, listen, go to InfoWarsLife.com, watch the informational videos with Dr. Group and others. They understand how it all works. I know that it works for me. That's all I understand. The science, the facts, the research, people's testimonials, they're all on InfoWarsLife.com. You can check it out for yourself.
I wanted to go to the gym. I wanted to push myself and work out harder. And that led to me being able to come out and do stuff like the barefooting and the surfing and stuff like that, which I've never done. I never would have done that 2 years ago.
Shane has said over and over again, more than just libido and energy, it made him want to get into the gym more. It made him want to get in better shape. And believe me, the Steiners have amazing genetics. His brother is a world champion steer wrestler. His dad, Bobby Steiner, is a famous world champion bull rider. They've got natural genetics. But when you added this to the mix, in Shane's own words, it took him to the next level. Shane noticed the mental clarity. Bobby was able to work out longer and gain muscle mass. He's already completely shredded. I gotta admit, for me, the biggest effect has been libido. Now, I've never claimed to have a body like some beach model, but back when I was 20, 22 years old and worked out every day, I looked great. But over the years, and being married, having 3 kids, and working 18 hours a day, I gained basically 100 pounds. And it's been a long process losing that weight in the last 4 years. But if you look at the photos and the videos of what I looked like 4 or 5 years ago versus today, the results are dramatic. I'd already cleaned up my diet, I was working out hard, but I'd only lost about 20 pounds. It was adding the other key ingredients from InfoWarsLife.com that helped me personally go to the next level and shed another 35 pounds.
This has actually made me feel so good that here lately, about a year ago, I started training jiu-jitsu, and that kind of led to doing some boxing and kickboxing. I mean, it's amazing that 2 years ago, I was on the couch and couldn't even tie my shoes, and now I'm training with MMA fighters and just doing stuff that I never thought that I would be doing ever again. So Super Male Vitality has allowed me to do some amazing things, and if it has those kind of effects for me, I know that it will do great things for you. So just try Super Male Vitality. I promise you, you'll love it.
And finally, let's look at Anthony Gucciardi, Infowars.com reporter. He also works with Dr. Group and others, helping develop the newest, most cutting-edge, high-quality supplements. Let's take a look at what happened when he tried to barefoot ski for the first time with the Steiners. And remember, we're not making fun of him. He had the will to get in the arena, and he's lost more than 10 pounds in the last few years of fat and gained more than 10 pounds of muscle. And Anthony chalks it up to Super Male Vitality as well. Bottom line, folks, you want to discover the power of Super Male Vitality and Super Female Vitality for yourself by visiting InfoWarsLife.com today or by calling toll-free 888-253-3139.